Dispatch, it's that plate again. The dashcam timestamp glowed in the corner, 2:17:03, a narrow stretch of road cut through the industrial edge of Brookline Township, where warehouses sat like sleeping giants, and the only light came from tall sodium lamps that buzzed and flickered. The patrol cruiser rolled steady at 32 miles per hour, windshield wipers ticking, heater humming. Officer Nolan Briggs leaned forward, eyes narrowed at the car ahead. A dark sedan eased through an intersection, perfectly centered in its lane, not speeding, not swerving. Nothing illegal, except for the plate. Nolan had seen that plate number before. He'd seen it yesterday, and the night before that, and the night before that. Always at 2:17 a.m., always on this same 3-mile loop, always the same quiet pass beneath the same flickering streetlight, and every single time, when he ran it, the system returned the same word: missing. Not expired, not suspended, not registered to the wrong vehicle. Missing, like the plate belonged to a car that wasn't supposed to exist anymore. His partner, Officer Lyla Chen, sat in the passenger seat with her notepad open, pen poised. "You sure?" she asked. Nolan swallowed. "It's the same," he said. "Exactly the same." He pressed the radio. "Unit 11 to dispatch. I'm behind that vehicle again. Plate is coming back missing." Dispatch answered with a tone Nolan had come to recognize, not curiosity. Caution. "Confirm plate number," dispatch said. Nolan read it out, voice tight. Dispatch paused. Then, "Copy. That plate is flagged. Use caution. Supervisor notified." Layla's head snapped. "Flagged?" she repeated. Nolan's stomach dropped, because nobody had told him it was flagged. They'd told him it was missing. And missing is a word that can mean paperwork. But flagged means someone higher up knows a story you don't. The Hijack sedan ahead signaled, turned into the same access road it always used. Nolan followed, because after 4 nights of the same impossible plate appearing at the same impossible time, his instincts were screaming one thing. This wasn't coincidence, it was a pattern, and patterns in policing are either a warning or a setup. 3 weeks earlier, Nolan Briggs didn't believe in patterns that felt supernatural. He believed in repeat offenders, repeat locations, repeat mistakes, the kind of repetition that comes from human behavior. He was 35, methodical, a traffic unit officer who liked things he could document. A red light, a speed, a plate, facts. Lyla Chen was 32, a general patrol officer temporarily assigned to traffic enforcement while the department juggled schedules. She was calmer than Nolan, but sharper in the way she noticed what made him tense. Brookline Township wasn't big, but it sat on the edge of a major interstate, and that meant the town got a steady spillover of late-night movement, truckers cutting through, warehouse employees on graveyard shifts, and the occasional car that didn't belong. The department had been dealing with a string of vehicle thefts, nothing cinematic, just cars disappearing from apartment lots and reappearing weeks later stripped, or not reappearing at all. Every briefing ended the same. Watch for unusual plates. Watch for mismatched VINs. Watch for cloned registrations. Nolan had heard it so many times it became background. Then, on the first night, at exactly 2:17, the sedan appeared. Night 1. Nolan and Lyla were parked on the side of Archer Road near the loading docks, watching a line of trucks roll in. The air smelled like diesel and wet cardboard. At 2:16:40, a dark sedan passed under a flickering streetlight. It wasn't speeding, it didn't attract attention, but something about its movement, smooth, deliberate, made Nolan glance up. He watched it pass, and the plate caught his eye. Not because it was flashy, because it looked too clean, like a freshly printed number on a car that looked slightly older. Nolan pulled out behind it. He ran the plate. The system returned. Missing. He blinked. Missing wasn't a normal return. It wasn't no record found. It was a category, a status. Nolan called dispatch. Confirm return, he said. Dispatch confirmed. Plate is missing, she said. No additional. Nolan initiated a stop. Lights on. The sedan didn't pull over, not immediately. It continued at the same speed for 15 seconds, then turned into an access road that led behind the warehouses, a dead-end loop, and then it stopped, under a security camera. Nolan stepped out, hand near his holster, flashlight cutting through drizzle. He approached the driver's side. The window was tinted. He couldn't see inside. He knocked. No movement. He knocked again. Nothing. He tried the handle. Locked. Lyla moved to the passenger side, flashlight sweeping. No face, no hands, no silhouette. Nolan's heart tightened. He stepped back. Lyla, he said quietly, I don't see a driver. Lyla froze. Stop, she whispered. Like, empty? Nolan didn't answer, because the sedan's brake lights flickered. Once, twice. Then the car rolled forward. Not fast, not reckless. It rolled forward like someone easing away from a curb. It turned its wheel and drove away. Nolan jumped back to his cruiser, adrenaline spiking. He chased. Lights on, siren off. The sedan turned onto the main road. Then, at the next intersection, it hit a red light and stopped. Nolan pulled in behind it. He looked again. Still no driver. Then the light turned green. The sedan moved, and as it moved, the plate on the rear seemed to shimmer, just slightly, like the digits weren't fixed, like the camera and his eyes were disagreeing. Nolan blinked. When he opened his eyes, the sedan was gone. Not around the corner, not down the street. Gone, like the road had swallowed it. Nolan sat at the intersection, heart hammering, staring at the empty lane. Layla's voice came through the radio. Where'd it go? Nolan swallowed. I don't know, he said, and that was the first night. The night Nolan told himself it was a glitch, a misread, a trick of tint and rain, because the alternative was too stupid to admit. Night 2. Nolan didn't tell anyone about the no driver detail. He told his sergeant he got a weird plate return and lost the vehicle. That was enough to get an eye roll. Probably a cloned plate, the sergeant said. Happens. Nolan agreed. He wanted it to be that. So the next night he parked in the same place at 2:10. He waited. At 2:17, the sedan appeared. Same road, same direction, same speed, same plate. Missing. Nolan felt his stomach drop. Lyla looked at him. Okay, she said quietly. That's not random. Nolan followed it without lights. He didn't stop it. He watched. He recorded. The sedan made the same turns. Every turn, like it was running a route. And at 2:23, it turned into the access road, stopped, under the same security camera. Nolan parked farther back this time. He and Lyla watched from inside the cruiser. The sedan's interior was dark. No movement. No door opening. No brake lights. It sat there like it was waiting. Then the security light over the warehouse door flickered, and the sedan's dome light came on. For 1 second. One, then off. In that 1 second, Nolan saw the driver's seat. Empty. Layla's voice cracked. Oh my God, she whispered. Nolan's hands tightened on the wheel. The sedan rolled forward, turned, and drove away. Nolan followed, and at the next red light, it stopped. Nolan stopped behind it. The light turned green. The sedan moved, and again the plate shimmered. The digits blurred, then sharpened, then blurred. Nolan's dashcam caught it too, tiny distortions around the numbers. Then the sedan accelerated slightly, turned at the next intersection, and vanished, same as before. Lyla stared at the dashcam screen. Are you seeing this? She asked. Nolan nodded. His voice was tight. Yeah, he said. I'm seeing it. Night 3. Nolan pulled the dashcam footage and watched it on the station computer. Frame by frame. The sedan was real. The plate was visible. The distortions were subtle but present, like a digital overlay struggling in rain. Lyla suggested something Nolan didn't want to consider. Maybe it's an electronic plate, she said. One of those displays. Nolan frowned. Even if it is, he said, why would it be missing in the system? Lyla shrugged. Because someone wants it to be, she said. That was the first time Nolan thought about motive, not paranormal motive, human motive. A pattern was a message. The question was, who was the message for? At the briefing, Nolan mentioned the plate again. He expected dismissal. Instead, the room went slightly quiet. The captain didn't ask for details. He just said, "Noted." And afterward, Nolan's sergeant pulled him aside. "Stop chasing that plate," he whispered. Nolan stared. "Why?" The sergeant's eyes flicked around. "Because it's above you," he said, "and because people who chase it end up tired." "Tired?" Nolan repeated. The sergeant didn't answer. He just walked away, which is the kind of answer that makes a cop chase something harder. That night, Nolan and Lyla waited again. At 2:17, the sedan appeared. Same as always. Nolan followed. This time he called dispatch before he did anything. "Run the plate," he said. Dispatch returned the same. Missing. But then dispatch added something Nolan had never heard. "Unit 11, the dispatcher said, voice careful. "That plate is flagged. Supervisor notified." Flagged, which meant the system knew. Someone had coded it. Someone had written a rule around it, and Nolan hadn't been told. The sedan turned into the access road, stopped. Nolan stopped behind it at a distance. He and Lyla stayed inside. They watched. 2 minutes passed. 3. Then, on Nolan's radio, a voice cut in. Not dispatch, not a unit. A man's voice, low and calm. "Unit 11, it said. Nolan's skin prickled. He pressed the mic. "Dispatch?" he said. Static. Then the voice again. "Unit 11, it repeated. "Do not approach." Lyla's eyes widened. "That's not dispatch," she whispered. Nolan's pulse spiked. "Identify," he demanded into the radio. Static. Then, quietly, "You're being watched." Nolan's throat tightened. Watched. Lyla's flashlight beam flicked toward the warehouse. Camera. The red indicator light on the camera was on. Recording. Always. Nolan felt cold spread through his ribs, because the voice hadn't said, "We're watching." It said, "You're being watched," as if the voice was warning him, not threatening. Warning. Then the sedan's brake lights flickered. The car rolled forward, and instead of turning out onto the main road, it backed up, slowly, directly toward Nolan's cruiser. Nolan's heart hammered. "It's backing up," he said. Lyla's voice tightened. "It's coming to us," she whispered. Nolan put the cruiser in reverse. He backed up. The sedan backed up too, matching, like it was mirroring him. Nolan stopped. The sedan stopped, one car length away. Then the sedan's rear plate changed. Not the number, the entire plate. The missing plate flickered. And for a split second, Nolan saw a different plate. A state plate. A normal plate. With one word printed at the bottom. Temp. Then it flickered back. Missing. Lyla's voice was a whisper. "It's electronic," she said. Nolan's hands shook. He had the sudden, sick certainty that the plate wasn't missing because the DMV lost it. It was missing because someone had built a car that could wear whatever plate it wanted, and someone had trained it to appear at 2:17 like clockwork. The sedan's trunk popped, just an inch, not fully, a small gap, enough to reveal darkness inside. Then a sound came from within. A phone notification chime, soft, out of place, like someone had just received a message. Lyla froze. "Someone's in there," she whispered. Nolan's pulse spiked. He reached for the radio. "Dispatch, we need—" Static. Then the same calm voice. "Don't," it said. Nolan stared at the radio. Then he did something that later saved his career. He reached up and tapped the dashcam. He made sure it was recording. Then he spoke out loud. "For the Oyo record," he said, voice steadying. "This vehicle is displaying an electronic plate. It is altering its display. It is backing toward our unit." Lyla stared at him. "What are you doing?" she whispered. Nolan didn't look away. "Making it real," he said. "Because if you don't narrate a nightmare, it becomes a rumor, and rumors can be dismissed. Footage can't." The sedan's trunk closed, the brake lights flashed, then it turned and rolled out of the access road, onto the main road. Nolan followed, not close. He kept distance. The sedan approached the intersection. Red light. It stopped. Nolan stopped behind it. Layla's voice was tight. "It's going to vanish," she whispered. Nolan stared. He didn't want to believe it. The light turned green. The sedan rolled forward, then the plate shimmered. Digits blurred. A faint band of distortion around the rear bumper, like heat waves. Then, in the dashcam view, the sedan did something Nolan couldn't explain. It didn't accelerate, it didn't turn, it didn't run, it simply wasn't there. One frame, a car. Next frame, empty road. No blur, no streak, just absence. Nolan's mouth went dry. Lyla exhaled in a shaky breath. "Every night," she whispered. "Every night at 2:17. Nolan stared at the empty intersection. Backup sirens approached behind them. Too late. Always too late. The next day, Nolan was called into the captain's office, not with anger, with fatigue. The captain sat with a folder open. Inside were printed screenshots, plate returns, time stamps, 2:17, 2:17, 2:17. The captain looked at Nolan. "You didn't listen," he said. Nolan swallowed. "Listen to what?" The captain leaned back. "That plate belongs to a task force operation," he said. "Unofficial, sensitive. You weren't supposed to touch it." Nolan's stomach turned. "A task force?" he repeated. "Then why is it missing?" The captain's eyes hardened. "Because it's not registered," he said. "It's a ghost plate." Nolan felt cold. Ghost plate. Not supernatural. Operational. A plate that existed to keep a vehicle invisible to normal systems. Nolan's voice tightened. "Then why does it show up every night at the same time?" he demanded. The captain hesitated. Then he said the sentence Nolan didn't expect. "Because it's not following orders anymore." The room went silent. Lyla, sitting beside Nolan, went still. Nolan's throat tightened. "What do you mean?" he asked. The captain rubbed his face. "I mean," he said, "someone built a surveillance vehicle that runs a route. It was supposed to be controlled. It was supposed to be supervised." Nolan stared. "And now?" he asked. The captain's eyes were tired. "Now it runs itself," he said. "And it shows up at 2:17 like it's keeping an appointment." Nolan felt anger flare. "You put an autonomous car on our streets without telling us?" he snapped. The captain's voice went flat. "I didn't," he said. "And if you say that sentence out loud, you'll be the one they bury." Bury. Not metaphorical. Career, reputation, silence. Nolan's jaw clenched. "You're telling me to ignore it," he said. The captain nodded. "I'm telling you to survive it," he replied. That was the twist. The missing plate wasn't paranormal. It was deliberate. A ghost plate for a ghost operation. And the reason it appeared every night at 2:17 wasn't fate. It was programming. Or something that used to be programming. Because the more Nolan and Lyla looked, the more they realized the sedan wasn't random. It always drove the same loop, past the same warehouses, past the same loading docks, past the same fenced yard where seized vehicles were stored, like it was scanning, like it was collecting, like it was counting. And that led to the darker question. If a covert surveillance vehicle was roaming the town nightly, who was it watching, and who was watching it? State investigators got involved quietly, not with press releases, with unmarked cars, with plainclothes meetings, with techs who didn't wear badges. They reviewed Nolan's dashcam footage, they reviewed telemetry, they reviewed the radio interference, and they confirmed what Nolan had suspected. The plate was electronic. The vehicle had a cellular link. The car's onboard system was running a scheduled routine. A routine that triggered at 2:17 every night. But the routine's remote supervisor, whoever it was no longer in control. The car was still following a script, but it was following it alone. And the vanishing wasn't magic. It was an exploit, a blind spot in traffic cameras, a route that moved through coverage gaps, a plate display that shifted, a vehicle designed to be hard to track. The vehicle didn't disappear. It escaped observation. And when it wanted to, it could make the average person, cop included, feel like it vanished. That realization was almost worse, because it meant there were systems out there that could make you doubt your own eyes, while remaining entirely human-made. In the end, the vehicle was found, not by chasing it at 2:17, by waiting for it at 2:16. A state unit set up down the loop with a portable signal jammer designed to safely disrupt the car's link. At 2:17, the Sedan appeared. The missing plate glowed. The car rolled into the kill zone. The jammer activated. The car slowed. Its brake lights flickered. Its plate cycled. Then it stopped. For the first time, it didn't roll away. It didn't vanish. It sat there like a machine that finally realized it was alone. Inside, there was no driver, just a console with a blinking status light, and a log, a list of nights, 2:17, 2:17, 2:17, hundreds of entries, a routine kept like a ritual. The investigation revealed the uncomfortable truth. The car had been part of a contractor-run pilot program, a smart surveillance demonstration, never fully authorized, never fully disclosed. It was supposed to be shut down months ago, but its shutdown command never arrived, or arrived and was ignored, or arrived and was overridden. Nobody could agree. What everyone could agree on was this. A ghost plate had been rolling through Brookline Township every night at 2:17, and the only reason it was finally stopped was because 2 patrol officers refused to accept missing as an answer. Nolan Briggs didn't become famous. He didn't get a medal. He got a quiet warning. "You didn't see anything," a man in a suit told him. Lyla Chen got a different warning. "Be careful what you post," she was told. The department got new protocols, new briefings, new promises, but the most important change was internal. Nolan stopped trusting the ICHA. Simplest explanations. Because after you've watched the same missing plate appear night after night, at the same minute, like it's keeping a promise, you learn something. Missing doesn't always mean lost. Sometimes it means hidden. And hidden things don't stay hidden forever. They show up on schedules. They leave patterns. They keep appointments. At 2:17 a.m., a dark sedan rolled through Brookline Township with a plate that shouldn't exist. It wasn't a curse. It wasn't a ghost. It was a system doing what it was built to do, until it wasn't. And the real warning wasn't the plate number. It was the fact that something designed to be invisible had gotten comfortable running in the open. Comfortable enough to repeat itself, night after night, as if it knew the town would look away, as if it knew no one would want to admit what it meant. Because the scariest part of that dashcam footage isn't the idea of a vanishing car. It's the idea that missing can be engineered, and once it's engineered, it can be scheduled.